But I want to say this. If Tyrese Haliburton can lead the Indiana Pacers to the NBA Finals, why can't Trae Young do the same thing? I think Trae Young is actually more talented than Tyrese Haliburton. Now, look, I think there are things that Tyrese does that's ahead of Trae, whereas I also think there are things that Trae Young does that's better than Tyrese Haliburton. Like, I look at Tyrese Haliburton, I think Tyrese Haliburton he's a better decision maker. Like, he's better at taking care of the ball. Like, that's something that you can't take away from Tyrese. Like, he's better at taking care of the ball. Whereas I think Trae is more aggressive. Like, I think Trae is a more aggressive scorer. They're both good passers, even though I might argue Trae might be a little more talented as a passer, but they're both good passers. And whereas with Trae, like, Trae's is a better scorer. Like, he's more aggressive. Now, the efficiency, could come and go a little bit. Like, Tyrese might be more efficient, but that can go both ways. Like, Tyrese could be more efficient as a guy that takes, the right shots. He doesn't take a lot of bad shots. But I also think that could work against Tyrese at times, like we saw in Game 5 against the Knicks when he scored 8 points and he was 2 for 7 shooting, because Tyrese has the tendency to be a little passive. Whereas with Trae, like, Trae could be look, there's not gonna be many times we see Trae take 7 shots in a game. I'll tell you that. Like, if he has 8 points, he'll be 3 for 18, where as opposed to 3 for 8 shooting. And so you can argue that Trae has the edge in aggressiveness, but at the end of the day, both of these players are uber talented. They're both talented in their own way. They're both very good playmakers. They both make their teams better, their players around him better. They both are an elevator of good offense. When Trae and Tyrese Haliburton are on your team, you're gonna generate a good shot for your team. Guys are gonna be open because the attention that both draw as that threat to score and pass. You know what I'm saying? And so as a result of that, the impact is similar. And here's the thing with Tyrese Haliburton, and this is where I want to give the Pacers props. They've done a good, after they traded for Tyrese Haliburton, the Pacers have done a really good job of building the right team around him. They just have. Like I said, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith. They kept Miles Turner, who's a versatile floor spacing big. They traded for Pascal Siakam, who's awesome. Benefit Mathurin is useful. TJ McConnell is a veteran point guard who's good. Thomas Bryant as a backup center. Obi Toppin. Like, the Pacers have done a really good job of building together the right depth around Tyrese Haliburton, while also surrounding him with enough shooting and defense and size to complement Tyrese Haliburton. You look at the Hawks with Trae Young. Now, look, I think the Hawks are younger. They're not as veteran savvy as the Pacers are right now. But you look at the Hawks, it's kind of similar. Like, around Trae Young, who's out, he's small. But Dyson Daniels is 6'7", one most improved player, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. You got him, and I think he has more offensive upside to be even more than that, considering the fact that he averaged 14 a game on 49% shooting. And so you have that. You drafted Zachary Reese, number 1 overall, who had a very good rookie year. He averaged 12 points a game. Over the last 3 months of the season, he's averaged 14 a game on 50% shooting and 40% from 3. You got Jalen Johnson, who, had he not gotten injured, I believe the Atlanta Hawks would have won around 46 to 47 games, and they would have been a top 5 to 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. I believe that, if Jalen Johnson didn't get hurt. And so, and you have Onyeka Okongwu, who, kind of like with Miles Turner a little bit, starting to stretch the field, stretch the court, shooting more threes, being more versatile. And so you have something there. You got a nice little mix around Trae. And now look, time will tell as to whether or not the Hawks might need to make another big move. But if I'm the Hawks, I think you want to give this young core a chance, to see what they can do next year. And look, if it becomes apparent that the Hawks might need to make another move for that score, that number 2 option, I think they can make it eventually. And look, I'm not going to speculate on who could be available, this summer or next season. But I think the Hawks are in a position where, like, if they need a little more help, kind of like with the Pacers, when they needed a little more help when they traded for Siakam, like, the Hawks have that ability to make that type of move if they need to. And so, big picture, man, when I look at Trae Young and Tyrese Haliburton together, as when we're comparing the two, like, if Tyrese Haliburton can lead the Pacers to the NBA Finals with what he has with the right team, why can't Trae Young lead the Hawks to an NBA Finals appearance if the Hawks can put together a good enough roster that complements Trae's skill set? And quite honestly, I think the Hawks are on the verge of doing that. I think they're on the right track. And when you look at the Eastern Conference, like I mentioned, the Boston Celtics, they're not going to have Jason Tatum, which means they're not going to be as good next season. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Giannis Antetokounmpo, uncertainty. Like, I think the Bucks are on a downward spiral. Should I be afraid of the New York Knicks? Should I be afraid of the Knicks? Like, I love Jalen Brunson, but I think the Knicks, I think they've peaked. I think this is as good as they're going to be moving forward. Are they going to, or what's going to happen with Tom Thibodeau? Every Knicks fan I see on social media, they hate Tibbs. They hate Tom. They want Tom Thibodeau to be fired. And so I think this is something to wonder. Like, after the Knicks kind of gone as far as they could go, are they going to be as good as they were next year? I'm not so sure. And there's teams like Orlando who I think should get better. Detroit should get better. But you know what? I think the Atlanta Hawks are right there for the taking in this Eastern Conference. I think they're right there. I think they're like a couple of moves away, real moves away. Front court, so just getting some front court depth and just maybe another ball handler. And, like, look, man, if Jalen or Dyson and Reese shave one or two of these dudes, make a real jump in their development, and why can't they? Like, Dyson Daniels is 22 years old. Jalen Johnson just turned 23. Dyson Zachary Reese just turned 20. Onyeka Okongwu was 24. Trae Young is 26. Like, Trae Young is 26. He's going to be 27. He's still young, entering his prime. Like, why not the Hawks? Why not these Atlanta Hawks? If Tyrese Haliburton can get the Indiana Pacers to an NBA championship, why can't Trae Young? If the Hawks put together, make a couple of more upgrades and this young team keeps growing, why not? Why not the Hawks? I think it's possible.